Hi, we're joined today by Ellie Harrison, artist, social activist, and lecturer in contemporary art practices at the Duncan of Jordanstone College of Art and Design in Dundee. Hi, Ellie, and thanks for joining us. You did a project called the Glasgow Effect in 2016, and I'll quote your mission statement here. I will not travel beyond Glasgow city limits or use any other vehicles other than my bike for a whole calendar year. It unleashed a social media shitstorm from the get-go, but the interesting thing that we'd like to explore here is what would your ideal compact city look like?
Well, while I was doing my project, I was also doing quite a lot of research about the history of Glasgow. And actually what I found was that the city, at the turn of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, was designed a very compact and well-designed city. And actually, the city that was destroyed in the 60s and 70s to make way for a motorway that goes right through the city centre, we need to get back to something that's more akin to what they built at the end of the 19th century.
I can understand that forcing yourself to live within that small circle was challenging. You travel a lot for your work, and you said that you weren't physically in Glasgow before actually doing that whole year. But what did you really, really miss beside that?
Yeah, I describe my project as as kind of a stubborn attempt to try to live this low carbon lifestyle of the future in a city and a society and an economy that was still stuck in a carbon intensive past.
Let's expand on that. You talk about the system being privileged, that longer journeys are more heavily subsidized. How could cities or people be able to make better choices?
Yeah, so, while I was living in Glasgow for that year, I really started to do a lot of research about the history of public transport, the point at which it was privatised. Glasgow has very low car ownership. So we have a lot of people living at quite a distance out of the city centre who rely on buses. So these are some of our most deprived communities, low income people that are having to fork out a huge amount for bus fares. There's a massive injustice just in the way the public transport system is run in our city. So, we're campaigning to take that all back into public ownership and public control.
Now, let's say that you were giving a different role, the role of a creator, as opposed to being the social activist that you are. How would you shape this compact living environment?
I guess for me, looking back at the history, why did we destroy it all? We're having to learn from our mistakes, I suppose. And, we're really inspired by Utrecht, actually, and the story there in terms of the motorway that went through the city centre over the canal that has now been reinstalled as a canal. And that's actually what I'm advocating for Glasgow, is the massive motorway that goes right through our city centre, the M8. Sections of that were built over a canal called the Monklands Canal. And I'm really inspired by Seoul, by Utrecht, by other global cities that have understood the damage that these massive motorways do and have made the bold decisions to remove them and to reinstall the waterways.
What things, beyond mobility, what things does an environment like this, a compact living environment, need?
I love the concept of a 15-minute city, a 20-minute city. And I think that is really what we need to develop, where everybody can get a job. Everybody has a support network that they need. Everybody has the local facilities, all within a short walk of their front doorstep. And I think Patrick Geddes had that idea 100 years ago. And that's why it's so important that we look at the history, we learn from our mistakes, and we build on these brilliant ideas when we're thinking about how to redesign our cities and our lives now.
Thank you, Ellie, for talking to us today.